Hi everyone, and welcome to our talk, Platform Engineering for Architects, Crafting Platforms as a Product. My name is Max Körbächer. I'm the founder and managing director of Liquid Reply, and also the technology advisor for anything around platform engineering and sovereign cloud.
And my name is Hilary Lipsig. I'm a senior principal SRE at Red Hat.
And my name is Andy Grabner, a DevRel Dynatrace and a CNCF ambassador. And I think we're all happy, Hilary and I, that Max brought us on this journey to write the book Platform Engineering for Architects. And we want to give you a quick overview. Max, lead the way, please.
You're both more than welcome. So where does all the story start, or sometimes even end before it can start, is that internal development platform projects at the moment really tend to fail. And this number is increasingly high due to lack of adoption, management expectations are not met, maybe the needs which the teams have are not really covered, and sometimes it just doesn't deliver the value everyone were expecting. But what is the problem in it? Well, it's often lacking actually people, culture, and processes. So we're missing a good purpose for it. We see that people who love technology do randomiering and just bring in the next cool tools which they like to have. But one of the biggest problem which we see is the infrastructure first thinking. Now, we do not want to spend too much time about it, so you can even ask your favorite GPT about it. But infrastructure first thinking, in summary, means that you come from bottom up, focus really on the technology, maybe spending too much time in improving it, maybe spending too much time to replace technology. And you always think first about the solution before you try to understand the problem. And that all leads to the failure of many IDP and platform engineering projects.
Yeah, and Max, actually, it's a perfect segue. I think a lot of people have asked us, when do we need a platform? When do we need to think about it? What are the indicators? And if you're looking through the history of software engineering, every time a new technology stack came about, whether it was containers when Kubernetes came out, whether it's serverless, every new technology stack typically starts with some team saying, I want to do this, and we take end-to-end responsibility for developing, releasing, operating, and protecting. That's great and works well in a team. The thing is, if this technology then becomes more adoption within an organization, more teams also latch on to this, but maybe they say, well, we don't like this particular runtime. We don't like Java, but we are more a Node or a Go team, and therefore we want to use that particular tool to build and to test. And then maybe we have a different flavor to operate. And for security, then what it essentially means, every team, while they're all using a similar technology stack, they all do things their own little flavored way. And that their own way, in the end, becomes a lot of duplicated effort, because every team needs to figure out what's the best way to develop, to deploy, to test, to release, to operate and protect, and how can we all be compliant with the organization's rules. And this really becomes that duplicated effort that then should make you think about how can you solve this problem. Now, the first iteration of solving these problems, what we have seen is a centralized services team, where you have a team that is specialized on providing maybe some Git repository templates, maybe some that know how to do testing, some that do observability, some that take care of operations. And this is a great way already to take off responsibility of the teams, but these centralized services teams often then become the bottleneck. We call it here, it's a patch solution. Ultimately, this leads us really what platform engineering, what we believe and what we see platform engineering is all about. We want to centralize things, but we want to centralize it in a way that the centralized services are made available as a self-service to the individual teams so that they are guided through what the industry also calls golden paths, meaning we give the individual app teams golden paths so that they can focus on building business capabilities, creating value for their organization, and don't have to reinvent the wheel about how to build, test, operate, and protect. And we will hear more in the rest of this presentation around some different approaches on how to build successful IDPs, or also called internal development platforms. Max, but now I think back to you on how to make this a successful endeavor.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we need to take a look around the way how we are providing a solution to the teams and what are we providing so that we can drive the adoption. If we provide infrastructure, if we provide automation and any kind of services around it, but no one likes to use it, so it lacks an adoption, this just stays infrastructure. And one part of the secret here is to have the product mindset so that you look into something long lasting rather than something which ends at some point in time when budget, time, or whatever else has run out. The other part of the secret is that you need to define and find a purpose, because building an environment where you are oriented on business value, where you just think about the user needs, and also like believe about or build some stuff around the technologies itself, which looks maybe complicated, but it's still technically feasible. All of these different layers are by themselves manageable, right? It's not the big problem to take care about one of these dimensions. But what it often is very difficult is to bring them together and overlap and build on each other. And that's what we call the purpose. If you give a purpose to your platform, if you give a purpose to your platform engineering team, then you give them a direction. Then you can think about the technical feasibility as a foundation. You can understand the user needs and use them as a driver and motivator. And then this infinitely, or in the end, will deliver then the business value maybe your management were looking into. And now we will learn more about how to reach that.
So to balance the creation of a platform that works for everyone, we're going to have three aspects of this. We're going to have our feasibility, our viability, and our desirability. Feasibility is almost endless, right? Technically feasible things are forever. There's so many technological options that figuring out what's feasible is not necessarily the difficult part. What's viable and what's desirable, you start bringing in the needs of your users. This is where we start building up our golden path. What do we have that is both feasible and viable, of what is also in addition desirable, and getting down to where those three things actually meet. That's where we can start figuring out how we have a platform that delights its users, that customers or internal customers who are effectively going to be using this product, again, keeping that product mindset on, will want, because although they may be your coworkers, when you are part of the platform engineering team, they're your customers. And so you have to think about it like a product in that way, because we need to be not randomeering, but engineering something that solves not just technical problems, but also social problems, social engineering problems. Next slide. So we can measure our successes, which is really key. So here we have the space metrics laid out. It doesn't have to be space. You could define your own. You could use something else. The important here is that you're measuring, that you're gathering data and you're turning that data into information about your platform, about its adoption, about what is working, what is not working, and then applying a product mindset to that and iteratively adjusting and changing and building so that you're building the right things for the right reasons. Next. And so putting this together, we start building up our product roadmap, right? And again, we keep emphasizing product, right? Products are lasting, right? Ideally, they're eternal. Projects are finite. They have an end date. By taking this platform concept and applying that product engineering hat onto it, you're able to start bringing together aspects of product management and apply it to the platform. And then most importantly, when you're doing that, you can challenge Conway's law. The idea that the software engineering systems built by an organization reflect the communication of the organization. If all that were working perfectly, probably a platform team wouldn't even be really necessary. So this is, again, that social engineering aspect where you challenge Conway's law and say, where are we inefficient? And how can we make that better in our communication, in our software design, in our path for delivering things? And so nothing is going to meet 100% of everybody's wants and needs and desires 100% of the time. somebody's going to have to compromise on something, right? It's going to be a bit of an 80-20 rule. But by putting together these ideas, user research, technical debt, need for a change, a community to help drive that change and make the platform excellent, that can be managed. Next. So really critical to that, though, is to not lose control of your technical debt while you're doing this. So that user research you do at the very beginning that informs your initial design also gets brought in with feedback loops and augmented with feedback loops as you deliver. And then you iterate. Maybe some of that initial things that users thought they wanted, they didn't actually want in the end, or they didn't use it as much as they had indicated they may. Maybe they found and realized they needed something else from the platform along the line. Requirements can change. Platforms should be evolving. Nothing is ever going to be completely static. Again, it's a product. It's lasting. Next slide. So as you're building this product, you need to take very intentional decisions. Crawl, walk, run. Solve the problems you have and not the ones you don't. But that also means that you may need to think about what would cause you to change direction, what would cause you to deprecate an aspect of the platform. And so your deprecation criteria are just as important as your user criteria, what they want. Because if you think about, we're moving on and we're working towards IL5, right? Our requirements have changed. So that may mean an aspect of the platform needs to be replaced. We're using an open source tool, but the community has evaporated. That may necessitate a change. The decision we took isn't scalable to where we are going or going to be in a quarter, right? Time for a change. So understanding not just why you're taking a decision when you take one, but what would cause you to need to move away from the chosen path that you've taken or iterate on it in a different way. Those deprecation criteria are just as important as your user needs. Next slide.
Yeah, and with this, when we take a look on what we have heard in the last minutes, the points are being successful in your IDP journey or being successful as a platform engineering team. It's not built on the latest Kubernetes or the best technology. It's about taking decisions informed because you measure stuff, and taking decisions because you're aware of the technical debt. A backstage, a GitOps approach, the introduction of it to your teams doesn't make your team being more automated. It doesn't necessarily mean that the IDP will automatically being adopted by your end users. And it also, and for sure, doesn't help to just rebrand your DevOps team to be now a platform engineering team. This also doesn't work. It hasn't worked in the past, relabeling developers to DevOps and whatsoever. And it will also not work in future to give them, again, a new title and whatsoever. What shapes the success for platform engineering and for internal development platforms is defined by the people and the culture and the purpose which you give for this journey. If you understand the people who are going to use it, and it doesn't need to be just the developers, it can be the operation, it can be product owners, it can be security, it can be compliance, it can even be business perspectives that come in. This all will drive the success of your platform. And for sure, with the culture and giving a purpose to this direction, putting everything around and wrap it up to keep you in line, to give you a step-by-step approach, finding out what is right and what is wrong. This will lead you, again, step by step, to being successful in the adoption of your platform. But that's not all. There's thousands of little other things between all those technical layers that builds up to the success. And this is where the individual part for each department, for each enterprise comes in which you have to find out. If you would like to find out also more about our book, take the QR code. We have there 360 pages, I believe, of more information put together with some more beautiful diagrams that you can study. And with that, thank you very much for joining today and enjoy the rest of the conference.